In this video, we will look at an example of how to use 2D trig and the tips that I gave you in the intro video to make sense of it. And so just to begin with, to reiterate, your first step is to try and get the missing angles. So there's an A and a B, and I'm going to call this 180 minus A plus B. There's a B and there's a 90, so the angle on the other side must be 90 minus B. There's a 90 and a 90 minus B, so the other one must be B. Or if you're insightful, you would have seen there's a 90 and a 90, and so these lines are co-interior. These lines are parallel, so you could have, if there was a B here, you could have done alternate angles. In any event, the first step is to fill in the missing angles. So step 1, getting the angles, we're done. Step 2, our goal is typically to work out the common line. And so when you see something daunting like this, it often paralyzes people to know where to even begin, because you've got all sorts of letters and sines and causes. So to simplify it, just pour all your energy into working out the common line, which in this case would be SQ. If you're wondering where to start, which triangle, then my advice is start with the one that has more information. So they all have all their angles, but this one also has a side. And so it's probably going to be best to start in this triangle and then move across to this one. The other hint is that we're ending with RS, which is in this triangle. Then the last step to do is just to choose, is it a 90-degree triangle? Because then I'm going to use SOH CAH TOA. Or is it not a 90-degree triangle? And I'll usually do sine rule, maybe cos rule. And so the first one is not 90, so I'm going to try and see if I can use sine rule. So the one I want is SQ. And so you have SQ and his opposite angle, and the other side and his opposite angle. And so that makes two sets of pairs. And that's a perfect candidate for doing sine rule. I like to put what I want on top. So SQ over sine A should be the same as H over sine 180 minus A plus B. And I'm wanting SQ because my little goal is to get the common line. And sine 180 minus is in the second quadrant, and that's where sine is positive, and so it just reduces to sine of the angle. So sine of the angle. Then I'm going to move to the second triangle. I notice it's 90, so I'm going to do SOH CAH TOA. I'm wanting RS. If I can choose which angle to look from, I'll rather look from this one because it looks a bit easier. And so I look and see, okay, RS from angle B, RS is the adjacent, and the one I just worked out, SQ, is the hypotenuse. And in the riddle SOH CAH TOA, that would mean I'm using cos. So cos, when I looked from B, was my adjacent over hypotenuse. I'm not going to sub in this now for SQ, which most people do. It just makes a triple-decker bus, and it's a bit of a headache. And so rather, I'll first take the SQ up. And now that I've got RS, which is what I want by itself, now I'm going to sub in SQ. And this cos B, if you're wondering where it will go, it's over 1, so it will go on the top. So I'm going to be subbing in for SQ with all of this. So here it goes. H sine A over sine A plus B. And that was SQ. There was also cos B on the top. And that should have been equal to RS. And for the first time, I look at what they wanted, and it's identical to what I have. And so this method of getting angles, getting the common line, seeing if it's 90 using SOH CAH TOA, if it's not 90 using sine rule or cos rule, and putting what you want on top every time, it will make this whole section so much easier. And so I'm going to whiz through a whole bunch of other examples so that you can look at it from different approaches to gain confidence in this section of 2D and 3D trig. I hope that you found it useful. If you did, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your friends.